Hello and welcome to Unstoppable. I'm your host, Kerwin, and today we talk to Tom Griffith of Emma and Tom's fame. Now, Tom is actually the co-founder and chairman of the internationally successful whole food brand Emma and Tom's, which are all natural, no refined sugars and minimally processed foods, I should say, and juices. Tom is the co-founder and chairman of the internationally successful whole fruit brand Emma and Tom's, which is Australian and now international sensation. Emma and Tom's is a certified B Corporation, which means they're socially and environmentally responsible business, and is one of Ernst & Young's Entrepreneurs of the Year. Now, this is an incredible story of how these guys basically started in their kitchen and turned this into an incredible national icon. We talk about when he met Emma at 12 years of age. He met his business partner at the age of 12, and how trust, respect, and a shared vision is what made them work together. We talk about how they launched Emma's and Tom by buying 8,000 and filling 8,000 bottles, but with no one to actually buy them. We also talk about how to maintain and communicate with all of your customers, product developments in a cutthroat industry, and how to manage being a single father whilst being in a startup and a running successful business. He talks about how he motivates his team, how keeping up with culture at scale, recession proofing and stockpiling cash, and how they cracked through the 8-figure mark after just 15 short years. For those of you who are looking for more information on business, you wanted to get a little bit more inspiration, this is going to be one for you. Tom Griffith of Emma and Tom's fame. Listen up. This episode is brought to you by Nail It and Scale It, the world's leading fast growth program for businesses. If you have ever wanted to grow your business faster than what you can right now, if you need to make more revenue, if you need more leads, if you need more clients, if you need to know how to plan your business in a strategic way in order to hit big goals, if you need to learn how to scale your business and grow your team and your business so that you have more freedom, then this program is for you. Imagine 3 days immersed with me where we cover all aspects of business, but we do it from an immersive but also an execution standpoint. We execute every step of the way, and we're looking at 5 key areas. We're looking at your psychology, we're looking at your marketing, your sales, your leadership, and we're looking at your planning and how we integrate these 5 key areas to grow your business and your brand quickly. So if you'd like to find out more information, kerwinray.com. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome to Unstoppable one half of Emma and Tom's, Tom Griffith. How are you, mate?
Superb, thank you, Kerwin.
Mate, it's absolutely fantastic to have you here. Now, for people that have never heard of you before, you're one half of the Emma and Tom's success story. For people who perhaps aren't familiar with it, why don't you give us a little bit of the elevator speech on what Emma and Tom's is all about?
Sure. Emma and Tom's is a leading Australian healthy drinks and snacks business. We make, essentially, our products have 3 common attributes. They are all natural, there's no added sugar, and they are minimally processed. And
it's an incredible success. You guys are now stocked in more than 6,000 stores around the world. Also sold in China, Dubai, Malaysia, Hong Kong, and Singapore. And you guys have cracked through the 8-figure mark when it comes to success. And you guys really are an incredible Australian success story.
Look, it's been 15 years.
15 years to be an overnight success, right? Who would have thought? But what's really interesting, because we actually had you come and speak to our K2s a couple of years ago. I actually thought it was last year. I've just found out from your photo it was like almost 2 fucking years ago. Time flies, but it has been very kind to the both of us, I must say. Probably more to me, but that's okay. But I do jest. But what I found really interesting is the story behind how Emma and Tom's came together. Not that many people actually know how it came to be. Where did it all begin?
Look, it's very simple. I mean, I knew Emma for a long time.
Right.
I saw this product in North America, loved it. I knew she'd be the ideal business partner.
What was your background? Because your background
I was a CFO. I was a banker.
Yeah, right.
So
investment banking, weren't you?
Yeah. So if Emma's being critical, she could say, you behave more like an investor than a bloody operational guy, but I do my best. Essentially, she's very bright and I'm good at lifting heavy things, so it works well.
It's the perfect combination. Yeah. So you guys actually knew each other for a period of time?
I met Emma having a swimming lesson at the Harold Holt Memorial Pool when I was 12 years old.
No kidding.
True story.
Wow. So you guys have been like best buddies?
Not best friends. Yeah. Never are, even still aren't today. But we're good friends. And we still say please and thank you and respect each other enormously. It's not like an offhand, it's been 15 years.
Yeah.
And we used to put that down, I often say, to 3 common factors being trust, respect, and a shared vision, which are elements of a relationship.
So you guys have known each other since the age of 12, but at what age did you guys kind of realise that you could do something together?
We were late entrepreneurs.
Right.
We had talked about sort of doing our own thing, not necessarily together, but Emma was in London and France when I was working in both countries. We used to hook up for dinner and drinks occasionally, or perhaps have a ski together. And we just talked about it. And when this situation arose, I thought...
When you say talked about it, were you talking about...
Not about Emma and Tom's.
Right, just a business.
Just getting out and doing something ourselves.
What was Emma doing at the time?
Emma had at that point, she'd done Cargill, Uncle Ben's, so 2 big family-owned businesses,
right.
Cargill and Mars. She did an MBA at INSEAD in Fontainebleau in France.
Wow.
She did a year at LEK, just getting her sort of strategy consulting part sharpened up. Then did a London-based startup, which was really... it was a similar business to Aquanext in Australia.
Right.
They blew their dough, sold what they had to Pilkington, and she came to Australia and got a big job, as head of consumer marketing for the NAB.
Right.
And I was doing a London startup as well, and that went pear-shaped because our backer lost £1.5 billion of his own wealth in the tech wreck.
Right.
Which is what got me over to North America to have a ski.
Right.
And I was in the Gondi every morning going to the high upper and drinking these green smoothies.
Okay.
And thought, that's a great product. And I'd been doing a lot of work in London for Pernod Ricard, the French drinks conglomerate.
Yep.
So I had a brand of drinks on my brain.
Right.
I'd done a startup, so that was a startup sort of thing in London. So I knew I could do it, although it's harder than you think, and I still find that today. Came back and we got going by going and seeing Gary at a cafe deli in the Melbourne suburb of Carlton, and asked Gary what he liked to give his customers.
Right.
And he told us what he liked, and we worked out that every single item in his store was there for a reason.
Right.
It wasn't just like fill the shelves.
Yeah.
We then started making our own blends in the kitchen.
So you literally started in your own kitchen?
Started from scratch. We convinced a business that makes bottles,
right,
for no cost to us, to design a bottle for us. We wanted a square bottle, and that wasn't common in Australia in that time, because square meant super premium in the USA. Right. And they didn't charge us the normal sort of 45 grand to do a whole new bottle. They backed our spreadsheet. We found a distributor via a mate, stepbrother's girlfriend's stepfather who was buying one. We went and sold to them on a PowerPoint presentation with no product. No product. They just basically had everyone sort of all the plates spinning. Right. And then we sort of got to the point of no return and ordered 100,000 bottles to get made. And Emma announced that she had purchased $20,000 worth of passion fruit, which was an awful lot in those days.
Now this is right on startup stage, isn't it?
Yeah. We were. It wasn't pretty, but we started. Yeah. We had 8,000 bottles and no customers, and off you go.
Wow. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, because the picture I have in my head, I literally see you in an apron around a giant pot with Emma sticking labels on bottles while you have a ladle and you're filling up bottles and putting lids on them. Is that?
Yeah, and we did different batches and we numbered them. Right. And we had focus groups. We got friends around to taste them, and they would mark down the one they liked the most. Yeah. And we did that a few times. The first time we did it, we were very naive. We served wine beforehand, so everyone's palate was totally screwed. That was like the early days.
Let's get them drunk first.
Yeah. So we did focus groups, and we took them out to our distributor. And then we had to, of course, convert kitchen to industrial. Right. So rather than using
at what point did you do that? Because that's the point that I see a lot of home businesses, they fail to scale, and they fail because they fail to scale. At what point did you realise, okay, we need to go from the kitchen to an industrial kitchen? Was it quite early on in the journey?
When I say industrial kitchen, I'm talking 1,000 litre tank. Okay? Wow. You got to make a batch.
Yeah. Right.
You really can't put less than 1,000 litres through a bottling line. It's just it won't fill it. Okay. So you then start using commercially available fruit, not the Victorian market banana. You get, Asian frozen banana, Asian aseptic banana, Australian frozen banana, Australian aseptic banana, and you work out what tastes the best. Because in a product even like a green power, where there's 6 or 7 different juices and purees, even one thing, a plum that's 7% from memory in that bottle, if we go and get a dodgy or a cheaper or a yellow, not a red plum, it changes the taste. Right. So, as you know, and there's nowhere to hide for us. Yeah. We don't use sugar or preservatives or flavours or colours, so we call it the risk of real. So everything's got to be done perfectly. Otherwise, it doesn't taste great, and you can't sell things that don't taste great.
Has that caused in itself, obviously it's an incredible marketing position to have for a product, but has that in itself cost you a lot of money when it comes to batches not turning out right? If the fruit's not quite ready, or if the fruit's not ripe enough, if the fruit's slightly different, if it's come from a different grower because your other supply goes down?
Look, that happened, and to use the obvious example, orange juice is more sour in winter than summer. Yeah, now, our consumers get the fact that it's all natural, and we don't beef it up with sugar and things. Right. So we get very, very few complaints or even correspondence to say XYZ was a bit funny this week, because they know that there is seasonal variation.
Right.
Because it's natural, it's real.
But you do have quite an active consumer base, don't you? Like they communicate with you quite openly.
I'm big on maintaining a two-way conversation with your consumer.
Yeah.
So we just don't...
Because you've got two consumers. You've got the retailers and you've got the end user as well, don't you?
Well done. And we have another stakeholder group being our team.
Oh, yes.
So we're three. We have our customers being the shop, then we have our consumers being you who buy from the shop.
Yeah.
So we're acutely aware of that. And we try to maintain, like the skill is to maintain constant communication. So it's sort of like water torture, drip, 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 drip. So you're always online, you respond quickly. If there's an issue, take it offline and deal with it quickly and respectfully. So that's a job in itself, as you can imagine.
And one of the things that you guys have done quite well, you've actually managed the supply chain, because you're not just producing the product, you're also you've got your own vans on the road.
Yep.
And which is, as far as I know, that's a very uncommon thing to do in your industry, because most people, when they tap into a distributor, they're tapping into the logistics network as well, aren't they?
So we've done our own. So
right.
With 3,000 customers, and obviously there's 10% churn because they go out of business or change hands, etc.
Yep.
3,000 customers alone probably means 6,000 to 9,000 visits before you land them.
Wow.
It doesn't, just walk in and they just, drop everything and say you're in. It takes quite a bit of, they want to talk to their business partner or their life partner about.
So to get 3,000 customers, that's 18,000 connects.
And then you're losing sort of 300, 400 a year just by natural attrition.
Yeah,
so you've got to win more than that a year to grow.
Yep.
So it's work, I can tell you. But
this is great for the young ones out there who are thinking, I'd love to do a fucking vitamin water. Get out there and do what was his name? 50 Cent did, and get a vitamin water and make hundreds of millions of dollars.
$4 billion.
This is
so his payday was $400 million. He had 10%.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
So it's work. I've seen a lot of bottling plants where there's a couple of pallets of cans sort of kicking around, called Red Rhino or something. Yeah. And you go, what do you do with those? And they go, do you know any distributors? And I'm like, what's the use by there, fellas? And I had this conversation some time ago. Someone had 100,000 cans they weren't quite happy with. And I just said, look, if it was me, I would try and get 10, 20 cents a can back from not quite right and get on with it. But there's a risk. There's a real risk in that last mile.
Right.
You can go off with your group here and you can go to a bottling plant up in the Murray irrigation area. Yeah. Squeeze off some oranges, put it in a bottle, put it in a cool room, have it shipped to a cool room in Sydney. Then what? And the last mile is the hard bit, where you've got to get it to the store reliably, day in or week in, week out. And has that been one of your competitive advantages, not just owning the logistics network, but also using the logistics network as almost a supply chain of communication? Like they're the people that are at the front line. They're talking to the consumers at the end, being the retailers, yep. And probably having some customer face time as well. Is that an important part of your business? Absolutely. I mean, we see our customers weekly, if not fortnightly. Right. So we do develop things around them. We can do a new product and have it into 3,000 sort of sets of hands in a couple of weeks. So speed to market is huge. Right. If for some reason something doesn't work that well, which happens occasionally, of course, you just sell it out, burn some labels, and move on. So it's a good model. Because you guys have gone from drinks, and I know in 2017, was it 2016 or 2017, you launched food products? Earlier, and they were picked up by Woolworths very quickly. Right. So they're the leading, the bars are the leading brand in Woolworths health food. We've since done some wonderful protein balls, and we're being sustainable. We sell the balls down to cafes, unwrapped in a box, and we supply the jar and a cardboard band to go around the jar. Mate, good on you. They tip them from a cardboard box into the jar. For that format, they're not wrapped individually. Yep. And we're even more mature about the whole thing. If the cafe or the food store wants to, they can slide the band off and go, they're our balls. So we're looking at more sustainable stuff that way. Yeah, right. So we're doing that. We're about to launch a Ripper product, which actually I tasted some samples a few weeks ago, and they've got the mouthfeel and sort of the endorphin of a treat type chocolate bar type product, and they're a cranberry and cacao bar with 3 egg whites in it. No. Gold. So we're talking about 16 grams of protein? Correct. Yeah, right. Gold. And they taste a bit, I suppose it's because of the egg white, there's a slight little sort of mouthfeel that you could probably say was a bit sort of almost marshmallowy in it. Oh. See? But they're healthy. Yep. So, the thing is here, I mean, innovation, as you know, in this current market can last only, you can be copied in a week.
Yeah.
So you've got to get things out, and the brand strength holds it up.
So protein has become quite a buzzword used on packaging for health products because people are now seeing the benefits, from, especially with the ketogenic diet being so powerful. It's coming out in your food products, but I've noticed you haven't, and correct me if I'm wrong here, you haven't actually launched a protein drink yet, have you? Although you've brought out milks.
We've done a range of no added sugar flavoured milks.
Right.
So whilst plain milk's got 5 grams of carbohydrate per 100 mils, so have ours, but they're flavoured. So
Right.
chocolate, salted caramel, going into Costco Taiwan, espresso and strawberry. And we are looking, obviously, at other protein drinks, yes. It's a matter of, we've got a huge new product pipeline.
Right.
And, we've got limited resources, obviously.
Yeah.
And someone said, what would you do if someone threw you $20 million? And I sort of, whether Emma agrees, but I would, beef up our new product department by 10 more people and launch 50 products. But you've obviously got to be able to sell them.
Yeah.
So you'd hire a couple more grocery salespeople.
Yep.
Because how far does the brand stretch? Sugar-free children's cordial, popcorn, done to death, but that works. So where there's a pipeline for it,
but do you see, in the health movement, like high protein products is quite a hot market right now?
Absolutely.
So is that a product that you've put to there's obviously 100 products in line for innovation?
We've done a protein bar in the last 12 months.
But what about a protein drink?
Once again, on the list.
On the list,
not done
but
yet.
not a priority.
Remember, see, we use co-packers.
Yeah.
So we have factories that we call on all over Australia, and you need to find the right plant to do the right job. So right now we're focusing on because you've got to have a focus, otherwise you're all over the shop. We have a focus at the moment on getting out a prebiotic and probiotic 2-litre orange juice and breakfast juice for grocery.
Yeah, right.
Which is a value add on just normal old OJ.
Yep.
So, and it's single strength, beautiful, flash pasteurised, Murrumbidgee irrigation area orange. It's the best you can get.
Yeah, right.
So that's the priority right now. So we can get that out.
And you're also quite socially responsible. Like, you threw in there before, like with your protein balls, there's a little bit of conservation gone in there. You're offering them in boxes, unwrapped, to be able to put in a bowl. Yet your packaging is actually plastic, which seemed kind of ironic. But if not for the fact you just told me about another business that you're involved in, it's almost like you've looked for a solution to a problem that you're actually participating in.
We are. Now, you'll see on that bottle there's an RPET sign. So half of our plastic in our bottles is recycled plastic.
Right.
So we're doing that bit that we can do.
Yep.
We understand plastic is not desirable or as desirable. What are the alternatives? Glass is very heavy to transport, so it will take more fuel.
Right.
And brakes, of course. You can't flash pasteurise into glass. That's got to be that has to be hot filled, which stews the juice a lot more. So the integrity of the fruit is ruined more.
Yep.
So a new business that I'm involved in, and we'll lift the cloak off it more thoroughly in about 4 months' time, is making pallets, like what you would transport everything in the world on currently a wooden pallet. These are plastic pallets, and they will be made from recycled HDPE, which is milk bottle plastic, and PET, which is your water bottle plastic.
Right. This plastic?
Yeah.
Yep.
This PET.
Yep.
And really, with the size of the pallet market, we believe we're going to need to be bottled in Australia.
Wow.
Yeah.
But there were some other interesting statistics. You were saying that 40% of the lumber industry is driven by
hardwood plastic. Hardwood pellets.
Hardwood pellets.
Correct.
So we're not just talking about a conservation effort from recycling of plastics. We're also talking about a conservation effort here from not a revegetation and a deforestation perspective as well.
Correct.
That's pretty impressive, mate.
It is. It's going to be. It's a global thing. If you look at, say, Australian share market being 1% of global capitalisation, you can probably assume trade about aligns.
Yeah.
So Australia's trade's about 1% of the world. So this is going to be an international business that was hatched in Australia.
Wow.
And we'll be operating at offshore mainly because you've got to be obviously close to where the markets are.
Yeah, of course.
But we can ship these flat packed, so you aren't shipping air.
Yeah.
So you fill a pallet and get them overseas and assemble them abroad.
Okay, cool. I hate to loop back because I know we just closed the door on the on product development, but also I noticed you don't have any caffeine products either yet, do you?
We do. We do. We have We have a coffee bean and cacao bar.
Right. Okay.
And we actually use coffee beans, ground up beans, and we have a espresso flavoured no added sugar milk.
Right, which actually has caffeine in it.
proper coffee.
Proper coffee. Yeah, right.
Of course, it's Emerald Thomas. We're not going to use
no flavours. That's right. Of course,
some dodgy powder.
Yeah.
I can tell you.
So look, I can only assume, because I've heard other case studies around businesses that have tried to break into the fruit juice markets. Nudie was a really interesting story, and there was some I don't know if they were conspiracy theories that were rolling around when Nudie first launched, and they were starting to take a bit of a foothold in the market. Then all of a sudden their warehouse and their distribution inexplicably burnt down, and there was all sorts of rumours circling around as it was industrial espionage. And look, I'm not saying anything was anything, but it was very curious. But I do know that your industry you're in is quite a cutthroat industry. It's a very competitive. It's a multi-billion-dollar network globally. What kind of challenges have you come up against when you're just Emma and Tom? We're starting in our backyard, so to speak, with a pot and a ladle and our 100,000 bottles and our $20,000 worth of passion fruit. Did you ruffle a few feathers when you first came in? Or did it take a while?
We were naive. I had actually a meeting with a very senior Australian company director, who was actually chairman of a top Australian listed company, and he actually said, "Really, you shouldn't have worked. Shouldn't have worked. You would have had those multinationals would have steamrolled you." But whilst we launched, those big companies did bring out competing products, and we prevailed the entire time because it's ours. We own it. It's our business. We never had a fail type synergy, but there was no ever thought of failure. We are determined to behave like the victor, not the victim.
Yeah, nice.
So we step up, and because we own the van, because we own the juice, we bat our corner. And the good news now is that we are currently supplying one of our new customers is Coca-Cola Amatil, who have to put healthy drinks and snacks into their regulated vending machine. So that when I say regulated, the ones in schools and hospitals, where the contents have to be of a certain standard. And we are now supplying bars and nuts to CCA for their vending machines.
Wow. Have they tapped you on the shoulder for an acquisition?
They approached us. Well, look, they actually asked me how they need to have a brand that's got the same sort of brand ethics and ethos as ours. And I flannelled him, and I went away and thought about it. And so you can't create that. I mean, this has been us for 15 years doing reliably good things that taste great day in, day out, and that's the brand build. I mean, we take it, say, to the cafe, you buy your lunch, and Joe, who runs the cafe, says, "Look, Kerwin, try this great green power with your lunch. It's from Emma and Tom's. They're an Australian business, and you get it. You haven't been advertised out. You think you've discovered it yourself. You like it, and you tell your friends." That's what takes 10 years. But we always thought also there's no silver bullet. There's no pop idol here.
Yeah,
you got to earn it. And I would suspect, which is also very good, no one really knows Emma and myself. We can walk down the middle of Pitt Street and no one says, "There's Emma and Tom."
Yeah, right.
So we don't need to do a Branson to support the brand. The brand does that.
Yeah, right.
Which is perfect,
Is there ever going to be an exit for Emma and Tom's?
Look, we've got 4 or 5 things, as I outlined earlier, that we're very excited about right now. So we see a big growth step in the next 18 months. And right now, our focus is definitely on that.
On that?
Absolutely.
So that's not a no?
Look, there's always a number.
There's always a number.
Time,
yeah.
Obviously, Blind Freddie knows that. Emma's a trader. I'm a trader.
Yeah.
But similarly, and it's our baby. We started it. We've got 4 or 5 hot things on right now. Why flick it when you can perhaps double it?
Yeah, okay, I like that.
Yeah.
And so what are some of the bigger challenges? Like, have you ever had your back so far against the wall where you're like, fuck, I'm not sure we're going to make it out of this situation?
We had a failed business model. We had to pivot, and we didn't analyse things enough ourselves.
Okay.
And we realised one day we were churning customers at 40%.
Holy shit.
Because the distributor wasn't giving it the love and upping the minimum order and making life as hard for the customers as possible. So they were not getting through what they had to buy. So my sales staff are out there replacing blown and out-of-date stock, not trying to sell new ones. So it was like going to the casino. We're just churning. So Emma's husband and I got in a van on a very wet August afternoon and went out and started selling door to door. And we got 7 new accounts that afternoon because people liked the high level of service alongside the premium product. At that point, we had done our dough. It was out like Nadir. Emma's like hunched over a computer saying, we can trade our way out of this, being the trader. A mate of mine lent us $100,000, charged me a bottle of 389 a day until we paid him back. True story. I think it was 41 days in the end. Because, of course...
excuse my ignorance, 389. What's...
Penfold's been 389. It's a good middle of the row. You'd have it any time, Australian red wine.
Okay, nice. 41 bottles later.
Yeah, which is, very good of him. He lived nearby too, so I used to pop across with a couple of T-bones, knowing the wine sales were good. And of course, because when you have got no money and you can't pay your freight company, the first thing the freight company does not do is pick up. So business stops.
Right.
So we've had, numerous close calls. Everyone does. I've had coffees with it. I'd encourage people to seek out advice, and people who've done it before. I've talked to Radek Saleh, who sold Swiss, and a bloke called Tim York, who currently runs Darrell Lee. So both have been on the coalface, and they've both said to me, you must have had some close calls, because they know. Yeah. They've done this before, and they know the landscape. Where others go, I see you drinking these lovely fridges in the shops, it all looks so good, but that's like the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
The guts of it is the Tim York and Radek Saleh's going, bloody hell.
Yeah,
because it's tough out there.
15 years, you'd have a lot of scars. Yeah, because I'm going to assume there's not just been one situation.
Oh no,
there's probably been like multiple situations.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Like, because one of the things I see with business owners, and it's really quite interesting, is they go, I seem to struggle for motivation, and for me, I find that almost a foreign concept, although I can relate maybe 20, 30 years ago. But what I'm curious to know is, what is it that gets you through? Like in situations like that, when your back is against the wall, in situations where you've got more work than because you were saying before, because you're not just an entrepreneur, you're also a single father with 2 daughters.
Yeah.
And you made reference before. What was the analogy?
Having children doing a startup is a running analogy of like running a marathon and being handed a fridge to carry. Yeah, thanks for that.
No kidding. So, what is it that gets you through? Like, what's your because people there's often these cliche phrases when you're clear on the why, the how is easy. Why do you do what you do? What is it that drives you, that gets you out of bed in the morning?
Look, being a single father, and back through the phase when I was becoming a confirmed single father and all the lovely goings on that's involved with that, I was running a lot. I eat probably way above my pay scales, the quality of food I eat. I had Emma and my friends and family supporting me, so I was not under the table sucking the thumb sort of thing. I was fine, and I really was. I was absolutely fine. I slept well. I'm right, and we are very tenacious, and you've got to be like a dog with a bone, And to use an analogy, if someone tries to have a go at your business, you burn their fucking house down. Because you have to. It's as simple as that. Like, you've got to fight for it.
Yeah, right.
Because no one else really cares.
Yeah.
And that is true.
Yeah.
If this disappeared tomorrow, really, our staff go and get a new job, suppliers find new customers. I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to fight your corner.
So what about on the personal side? Have you experienced or have you had to deal with personal tragedy along the way whilst being an entrepreneur and get through that as well? No,
I've been very lucky. I mean, barring having my children move to Sydney, which was a bit of a tough one at the time, but we've made that work.
So you're Sydney now?
Well, I'm based in Melbourne, but right. I'm in Sydney once a week because of the girls. I saw them all weekend, for example, and
nice.
So that's all good.
Yep.
We have a very strong relationship. We had Easter together for a long time, so we're fine and we get along like a house on fire. And I've always really sort of cared for them as a single parent anyhow. So I was at home with 2 newborns in nappies many, 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 many nights alone, and then doing the work with Emma.
Yeah, right.
Emma's been a great business partner, which has helped. She's very supportive. Hopefully she'll say the same of me. I'm supportive of her. So we've behaved like a couple of people in this together. We're definitely, as far as we wear 2 hats. We work in the business, and we're owners, and they are quite separate hats.
Yeah, right.
Emma's very experienced in what she's done. She's very, very good at new product. And as owners and investors, we have a very similar philosophy on what we're doing. And then as business owners or running the business, what's actually quite a unique thing, we have very similar palates. And in this business, that's actually a bonus.
Yeah, right. Because obviously it's in most business partnerships, you want to have someone that is actually very different to you.
Well, Emma's glass is definitely half empty, and she would acknowledge that.
Right.
Speaking out of turn here, I'm probably over-optimistic. Well, that's probably quite a good blend.
It's a great blend.
She actually said after a meeting last week, I hope I didn't talk it down too much. I said, no, I was conscious of that, and you didn't. So that's the level of honesty.
Yeah.
You have to be able to say that.
Well, they say that the only ship that's destined to sink is the partnership. Yet here we are 15 years later, $10 million plus success, 6,000 stores in a range of different countries around the world. Has it always been smooth sailing at the partnership level, or have there been some times where it's like, fuck, oh God, I think we need to make this Tom's?
One thing I learned from my marriage, it was a phrase that my ex-wife used, and I think it's a cracker. you only ever step up into the lifeboat. And, we've had times where it's been tough, but we've found a way out. And we reckon there's always a solution. This is the thing. There's always, let's say we should have cash today. Well, you know what? We can ring up one of our big suppliers and say, okay, your terms are 60 days, we need it now. And we're a small supplier, and they actually are helpful. They do it for you. So, there's always a way you can find the answer. Early on, obviously everyone has cash flow problems. You see it in every business that we deal with. We would ring Michelle Nugent, who is a lovely woman up in Griffith, and say, Michelle, we can't pay you on Monday, but we can pay you Tuesday next week. No worries, Tom. And we pay her on Tuesday next week. So you do what you say you're going to do. And that's a good value. That's helped us an awful lot. And one of the tests we were appraised on in getting a B Corp certification was longevity of supplier relationships. And all of ours are more than 10 years.
Right.
So we haven't dicked people around.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So do you guys have a default mode that you go into when there is conflict at a partnership level? Or is it so rare because you have such an open, honest...
It's rare because we behave in the best interest of either the product, the customer or the business, not in Emma's or Tom's.
I love that. And that's not just something that should be seen at an owner level. That should be, to me, that should be ingrained through the whole company.
And it basically is. They all behave... Our team behave like business owners, and it's to their absolute credit, to the point that even once we started our homelessness charity, I got an email or a Facebook message from somebody in the public seeing one of our girls who drives a van hand a bottle of fruit juice to a homeless person. Oh. Now, of course, I hadn't told her to do that. That's just that's the manner.
Yeah. That's the culture.
Yeah.
That's the brand. So how do you get your team to act like owners when most act like they're in an adult daycare centre?
Driving our vans, which is the majority of jobs in our business, it doesn't work for half the people who try to do it.
So there's quite a high churn rate.
No, there's quite a high not start rate.
Right.
So either they say it's not for me or we say it's not for you, because it's very easy in a Sydney sense to drift towards Bondi. You know, they're by yourself in a van, you know. We give them, but now we have GPS, we give them runs. They have good bonus targets in both new customers and sales levels. So the good people are motivated and they do a fantastic job. And you see a poor performer because it's all about sales. It's a number, you know. But a good salesperson wants that number. They're driven by rewards and bonuses and achievement. So we have state managers, we have national manager. You know, Emma's husband manages the team nationally exceptionally well. Our head office team behave like family. Just because my name's on the bottle doesn't mean I'm treated any differently at work, and nor do I behave differently at work.
So when it comes to motivating your team, I am curious because you've mentioned something that might be worth exploring. Do you find that different departments, different roles require different sources of motivation?
Completely.
And so how would you distinguish that? If you were to categorise it, what would that look like?
Well, what's in the sales team, they want money. Right. Salespeople are driven by cash. Yep. And I'm not trying to belittle them and saying that, but they are. They're very driven.
Real salespeople.
Yeah, reward.
Not pretend salespeople who think they are.
And there's a difference. Yeah. A real salesperson is a whole different creature. Yeah. And they just, once again, don't see anything but the sale. Yep. And they'll go at it and go at it and go at it. Where, say, somebody in the office who might be doing new product development, well, their wins are when, for example, Costco ranges salted caramel. That's a huge win for our particular team member who worked alongside Emma in achieving that. We're not probably as good as we should be in celebrating achievements, you know, wins.
Always moving to the next one.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So, but we do try and have, you know, a modest team functions, recognition, run the business like a big business where there's the full review process and assessment all the time, so people feel that they are valued. Right.
So how often do you review people's performance and assess their performance?
Annually.
Right.
Sales-wise, quarterly.
Okay.
And we have quarterly meetings because the business, you know, growing quite quickly. So if you don't have a quarterly meeting, you miss too much.
Right. And so for the salespeople, and it seems quite obvious the way you incentivize and you motivate salespeople with, you know, with bonus structures, incentives, and everything else. But when you've got the office and the operations team, where there might be this goal in the future to be put in a range of Costco, what other factors do you use to keep your operational team more motivated, more engaged?
I mean, Emma and I work with them.
Right.
So no one's set adrift.
Okay.
So we work as a team. We've always been very much not the ones to micromanage. We let people go for it. And if they need some help, we give them all the help and the resources that they do need. But we've never been a micromanaging type situation. Our team behave like grown-ups and just get on with it.
And so how do you recruit for that?
We've used word of mouth, and we find LinkedIn really useful. We put an ad for our CFO, who's an absolute gun. He's a jet. On LinkedIn, we got 160 applications in a week.
Bloody hell. We
went through them all. We phoned up 20. We interviewed 4 in person. And we've got an absolute ripper.
Yeah, right.
And we didn't pay a recruitment firm, much to their chagrin.
Hey.
We did it ourselves. We actually used a method called top scoring, I think it's called, anyhow. So we basically went through the same questions for every role that they'd ever had, and went down, I suppose, filtered through their life in a very precise manner. And in doing so, you basically draw up a very thorough picture of the person. It takes about 2 or 3 hours.
Right.
So you've got to be quite disciplined.
Okay.
And in doing so, you get to the bottom of things.
That's incredible.
We were very clear on our preference of who we were going to recruit.
Right.
And they were all good, but the one we wanted, we got.
So how many's in the team at Emma and Tom?
About 50. We've got 23 nationalities.
And at what point, as you were scaling with 50 team, 23 different nationalities, did you start to go? At what point did you go? Okay, now it's different. You know, because businesses, when it's a 3, 4, 5 man band, they go, yeah, this is really simple. Then all of a sudden they start recruiting, and they get to call it 10, 15, 20, 25, and they go, oh shit, something's changed. Like the culture's changed.
We've been quite good at keeping up with the, I suppose, systems.
Yep.
So, because you do need to have things documented.
Yeah, right.
People need to know what's a good day and a bad day.
Yep.
For their own benefit. Procedures, we don't overlap. I go to less and less meetings these days with Emma than I say would have 10 years ago.
Okay.
There's no point 2 of us doing it.
Yep.
Got enough to do, So she'll go one way, I'll go the other way. On strategy, we come together. Things like strategy, we obviously meet once a week and talk about things. And I always said that I would do less when we found people who are better than me at doing my job. And we've now got a full-time CFO, and I used to do a bit of that. We've got a full-time NPD manager, and I used to do quite a lot of that with Emma. We've got a full-time sort of marketing arm now, which I used to do quite a lot of that. So I'm sort of moving out of the day-to-day running, which actually suits me down at the ground, and I'm now involved in, I suppose, corporate and communications.
Right.
So cash and comms.
Cash and communications.
Yeah.
How much has planning played as a role when it comes to the success that you've created? Some people plan, some people don't. Some people it's a religion. Some people it's something they do now and then. Do you have a planning methodology?
Yeah, we have an NPD pipeline. We have a budget which we visit monthly.
Right.
But really, our business you can only really look at in terms of quarterly or half yearly to see a trend.
Okay.
I mean, you get blips.
So you're not running on a 3-year rolling forecast?
Yeah, we are.
You are? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, 3 to 5, in fact.
Yeah, good.
But of course, we don't want 5s pie in the sky, but you got to have something to talk about.
Yeah.
To aim for.
And how often do you review financials? I think you did just mention monthly. And where do you think most people go wrong when it comes to their financials? Being a CFO, you've obviously got a little bit of a different insight than perhaps the average bear. Where do you see people going wrong when it comes to managing the finances of the business?
I think you need to have high quality information and be prepared to pay for it.
Yeah.
If you don't, at one point we were getting our numbers sort of 4 or 5 months later than. So if you've had an $80,000 stock loss in April and it's now September, it's done, gone.
Yeah.
You can't do a thing about it.
Yeah.
And if it's a systemic issue, well then you've slid 5 months in fixing it. So now we report on the 10th of every month following the month end.
Yeah, right.
Like clockwork, and we've got this very good CFO. The quality of reporting is excellent. Last year we went to the NAB. Think about the banking landscape in Australia last year. We've only got $1.4 million out of the NAB. It could be said, don't give it to us in a year's time. We won't need it then. We want it now. And we explained to them, and they gave us a onerous list of requirements. And we answered every question with essentially a sort of a 15-tab spreadsheet showing all the different scenarios that they'd requested. And they got it and said, fine, it's irrefutable. We will take this to credit and we'll back it for you.
Yeah, right.
And we got the cash.
So
there's the quality of good information.
So, and again, that would probably be my next question. So let's say you're a startup business, 6 months old, 12 months old, 3 years old. How do you define quality information? Is it stage dependent on the business?
No, it's timely and accurate.
Timely and accurate.
That's a real accounting hat for you, but absolutely, it's accurate and timely. You can make it more sophisticated.
Yep.
So, for example, we now run an ERP system. Earlier on, you're
What's
running
ERP for those who don't know?
enterprise resource planning.
Yep.
So now I can cut and dice by state, by product, by salesperson, by category of customer.
Yep.
So I can tell you how many green power was sold.
Did you develop your own software, or is this
off the shelf, but very, very intuitive.
Okay.
And doesn't need to have a couple of $100,000 thrown at it to get it going.
So not Salesforce.
No, or other ones as well. So we found that to be a great benefit. It's in the cloud.
Right.
I can look at it now on my phone. I've got a dashboard. Other people have different dashboards, different levels of penetration, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
It's not that expensive, mind you, as well. And you've got everything there. It's all in one spot.
Do you see a lot of businesses making mistakes when it comes to managing their expenses? You know, because one thing I see when I talk to a business, I say, you know, when was the last time you did a financial report? And then, well, when I did my tax. Which is then quickly followed by, well, when was the last time you actually went through the line items on your expenses? You guys are obviously at scale now, $10 million plus business, 50 plus employees, 23 different nationalities. But do you still sit there and break down your costs and look for areas that you can save, or look for subscriptions that you shouldn't be paying for? Like, how do you manage costs?
I got a phone call from the AFR last week, and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm reading the AFR." But I wanted to cancel my online subscription because I wasn't using it. I just realised I was a buyer of a hard copy AFR.
Yeah, right.
We do. We look at it monthly, and we've just actually done a lot of work on our sales, and we altered things like minimum orders or drop sizes or frequency of runs, and back to the old doing 100 things 1% better. And as a result, every single division state in January returned an EBIT of greater than 10% in January, when all the shops are closed in the cities. So working at it, what can you do next? What's the ideal combination of juice and milk and products? If you've only got 10 slots in a shop, what are your best 10 sellers? Rather than putting something in that's going to clog it up and not move, which we obviously don't have many of those anyhow, but you need to maximise things the entire time. And, one of the guys I do some other business with, when he goes out and starts a new business, he wants a super margin, say, 75, 80% gross margin, because his view is it's hard enough. You got to get some chipped away somewhere you probably haven't thought of. So I start with a big one.
Fantastic. So a little bit of a curly one here. Economic outlook. Like, there's a lot of people saying a lot of things in a lot of different countries about, where the global economy is headed, where the US economy is headed, where the Australian economy is headed. And look, no one's got a crystal ball, but being in the markets that you are, like, what's your perspective?
We're fortunate that we're...
bearing in mind, this is May 2019.
I agree. I understand where you're coming from. Emma and Tom's is quite recession-proof because it's, people have to eat and drink 3 times a day, and it's legal. That helps. The environment going forward frightens me to death. I think if there's the election result that people predict, I think it could put Australia back 50 years, is my view. I'm a small government type person, and of course, being an entrepreneur, I would say, well, support that environment and let me grow and employ more people and buy more raw materials and use more trucks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, as opposed to slapping down imposts on me that make it hard to do my job. Because I'm not Australia Post. I can't just go and get more money. I'm not listed, so we have to survive by, hustling, street smart.
And what do you think? Like, you've talked about recession proofing Emma and Tom's. What are some of the things that we haven't discussed that you do, or you would even recommend to other businesses to recession proof?
Well, if you're going to start a business, I'd start it now, so you get grandfathered, because if the capital gains tax discount's halved, you'd like to have thought you got your business set up before December 31, 2019. That could save you quite a lot of money down the track.
For your exit?
For your exit,
yep.
Which you're going to do at some point.
Yep.
Now, on that one, if you start anything, think how it looks in 10, 15 years' time. It's going to take you that long to get it to your full fruition. Not many people sort of build and flip in 5 years.
Yeah,
it takes to build something up to, the level of achievement that you foresee or plan. Probably got to be a 10, 15-year process. So see how that looks for yourself. Explore doing things offshore if you think the environment there is going to be better for you. There's no rules against that. If you feel like you can probably have a better return for your shareholder, well, it's a free market. No one's forcing you to set up in Australia, particularly if you can be a global business these days.
But I'm curious from your perspective, You know, because one of the things that I see is when people get into business, they want to make money. What do you make money for? Because they want to buy a car, they want to buy a house, they want to buy stuff to impress people in most cases they don't even know, let alone they don't even like. Whereas I was like that, but then I kind of reached this point through exposures like to Apple and other companies like, fuck, I need to be, you know, building a war chest because you just don't know. You know, you just don't know. But I'm curious from your perspective, how important is it to stockpile cash in an environment like this, or an environment that we're moving into, or just as good business strategy?
Yeah, I heard last week that most Australians haven't got $5,000 packed away to sort of survive through, a major dental incident or whatever it might be. You know, the emergency $5,000. I agree with you. I actually sold a house and gave most of the contents away to the Red Shield appeal about 3 years ago.
Good for you.
And I've skimmed right down. And Emma and I have never pulled a lot out. I don't have any lifestyle assets.
Yep.
We've done it all for the business, and you know, one day the fruits of my labour will probably be realised. And in the meantime, I'm focused on supporting my daughters, and growing the business.
Right.
And that's that. And even the girls know. You know, we did a thing recently with one of your colleagues on a Sunday at Pinstripe Media, and my daughters came along because it was my weekend, and we were in Sydney, and did the thing with David Koch, and you know, they know that they've been at food shows with me. They go out and do drops on the weekend with me. You know, they understand. We go to the cool room in Sydney and they walk in and tell me how cold it is. It's 2 degrees. I know it's a cool room. You know, so that's life.
Yeah.
And we have this big thing, Emma and I, we laugh at the phrase work-life balance because it sort of denotes work bad, life good.
Yeah. And
that's not our view. We just, you know, it blends through.
So how do you integrate being a single dad and being a parent? Like, you involve your kids obviously in the business, or how do you?
Yeah, but they're only young. They're both only 9 and 11, but they get that they've got a responsibility, and you know, I do things to help them, and they can help me. So if I've got to go and help, say, get set up for an event, they'll be carting packs of bars from the van to the tables and unwrapping things and, you know, doing their bit.
So they're quite involved.
Yeah, where they have to be. Yeah.
And they enjoy it.
Yeah, and they understand that, you know, it's the business. That's what I do. My youngest daughter's a bit of a dreamer and thinks I'm a public figure because my name's Emma and Tom, which is hysterical. But they get along with it, you know, and so they enjoy.
Do they get a little bit of a kick when they go into a coffee shop or a shop and they see, you know, oh, there's Dad's name on a product on the shelf?
Yeah, the oldest one particularly. The other one only drinks ice water.
All right, so she doesn't really care.
She's lost on me.
Yeah, she's dead to me. Yeah. So what's next for Emma and Tom's? Like, you guys have obviously 100 odd, or maybe up to 100 different products in development, numerous investment opportunities on the horizon. Where do you see yourselves going in the next 5 to 10?
We're still very happily doing what we do. We get a lot of interest from people sort of looking at the business, but that's, you know, that's probably a factor of being a brand and being exposed. We're about to release a range of kefir water with a business that we've aligned with called The Fermentory, who are like fermenting experts.
Right.
And kefir water, we believe, is going to be the next sort of probiotic, healthy, great tasting drink available in the route trade. So over and above kombucha.
Yep.
It's phase 2. We're putting glass bottles of juice into China, which will increase, we are told by our distributor, their sales tenfold. That's exciting. You know, we like
so
sales.
Why is that? I did click
less
before.
wastage and denoted as being more premium.
Right.
Longer life, therefore more flexible uses of it. Doesn't need to be refrigerated.
Okay.
We've just won this contract to provide Costco Taiwan with salted caramel milk, which has given rise to a conversation with Costco by them coming to us and saying, well, we have more countries and you got more products, so what can we do together? So that's exciting.
That is exciting.
We're doing, obviously, this 2-litre breakfast juice being both prebiotic fibre, being the fibres your biobes like to live on, and probiotic in it, so it's alive, going into major grocery. And we've developed, and we're about to market, and it's probably been actually in the refrigerator section of the supermarket, so quite a novel place for a bar, a fruit and nut bar with 3 egg whites in it, so high protein.
Yeah, right.
And delicious. I've tasted them.
Did you bring one in?
No, they're still like being RPD, NPD.
Would you send me one?
I'll send you. I've got a photograph of you. I can show you a picture.
Can I lick the phone?
Yeah. So they're going to be a cracker. I'll send you a box or two for this large crowd.
I would love it. Yeah.
When they're out, because they're a cracker.
Yeah, right. Fantastic.
Really good.
So, best piece of advice you've ever received?
I think review your business model. Everything's changing the entire time. And take advice. 2 things. So, you know, you're not going to always be doing it right or the everything right. There's always things you can do to improve. With the market changing now so rapidly and the rate of change in the world, even in NPD and innovation in food. In my case, there's innovation in packaging, for example. So Emma and I, our main concern always is what we don't know, we don't know. So always seek out.
So how much money do you invest in learning, like in terms of, advice and sharpening the saw? Is it something that you have a dedicated...
It doesn't cost much. People are very willing to give you their time.
Yeah, right.
A couple of years ago, my PR advisor was doing some work for Jalna Yogurt.
Yeah.
Now, they're not a competitor. So I said to Chelsea, I'd love to meet Costa, who's the head of sales there, because he's been dealing with Coles more or less for 20 years, and we're just starting to. So I went and got an hour from Costa of how he goes about it.
Yeah, right.
We had an advisory board, which is where I've got a mate, James Carnegie, who was a Sydney VC guy, PE guy, and he came and talked to us, and I said to him, do we need an advisory board? He said, shit, yeah, straight away. And Emma's going, well, why? We know what we're going to do. We've got a plan for the year. And James was like, it's free advice. So we put that together. We had James, we had Kerwin Creswell from Carmen's, and a partner from PwC. And we sat down 3 times a year for 2 hours a time. And the download you get in 2 hours gives you 3 months' work. Absolutely. And it's free advice. Why would you not take free advice? So early on, we didn't take advice, not because we were arrogant. We actually were naive. We thought we were just doing what we were doing and had our heads down. But you're in your bubble. You might have somebody at 40,000 feet in their chopper come across and have a look at you, and you get some very good views.
Best book you've ever read?
The Hard Thing About Hard Things.
Oh, who wrote that?
Good question. He's a PE guy in the US, and he had HP, he had a Packard, and he was running it, and he got it down to nothing. And he had a business, and he sold to HP for $1.5 billion,
right,
off the back of one day being worth nothing. And he said to himself, if this goes to the hole or goes into administration, which bit would I salvage for myself? And he realised the bit he'd salvage was not the bit that was employing all the people. So he closed that bit down, the big bit, and worked on the little bit that he thought had a real vision.
Right.
He sold it to HP for $1.4 billion.
How much later?
A couple of years.
Later?
Extraordinary.
That's it? Ben Horowitz. Fantastic.
He was a very early stage employee and investor in Netscape and all those ones.
Yeah,
so
right.
he'd been around.
Okay, fantastic.
Wasn't his first go.
Well, not his first rodeo. Tom, this has been power-packed. This has literally been a mile a minute. For people who want to find out more about you, more about Emma and Tom's, where's the best place they can go to find out? Have you written a book yet?
Well, I wonder if there's a book in it yet. I don't know. Obviously, Emma and Tom, longhand.com. And, of course, there's articles and things all over the web. And we're approachable. Give me a call.
Yeah, fantastic. You are, and I'll attest to that. Tom, thank you so much. This has been absolutely value-packed. Real pleasure. Thank you for coming to Unstoppable.
Thank you.
Mate, that was... This episode was brought to you by Nail It and Scale It, the world's leading fast growth program for business. There you have it, guys. Thanks for tuning in to Unstoppable with me, your host, Kerwin Ray. And do me a favor, don't forget to drop me a review on iTunes. Would love to hear what you think. I love reading what you guys have to say. And your reviews make sure we keep creating killer content just like this. If you want to stay up to date with me and all my movements, please jump onto the website, kerwinray.com. And also check us out on social media at Kerwin Ray.